us of beyond encouraging the young people to stay in school, it's good to encourage them to understand career paths. And we realize that most of the people that will engage in bringing young people to this realization needed mentorship. No, the people that we need to engage with young people are super busy. We cannot take them in schools. It's almost impossible to have, for instance, the CEO of Paris International move from one school to another. So we thought to ourselves, how important it would be if the country and the education industry established a way to make sure that we can be able to bring all young people together and listen and hear from people that have worked in Nile, the people that are anticipating to give these young people jobs, to share their story, to share their frustrations, to share their win situations. So we encourage the government to ensure that we can be able to establish a national career university. With the help of the office of the First Lady and the Ministry of Education, 20th March was gazetted as the official National Career Guidance Day. To us, that's a win because it's not very, very easy. Please, you can go ahead and clap. It is not easy to have a national recognized day to discuss career. And we think when we gather as many as possible young people, then different stakeholders from the ministry, from private sector, from civil society organizations, can be able to come and mentor young people, share their stories, talk about the trends, talk about the statistics, and that will be able to help young people guide them on the right career paths. But lately, we realize that there are so many young people that graduated with young and very, very limited jobs that are being created. In fact, most of the companies are downsizing, which is also a good thing because it encourages young people to start their own jobs. But the unfortunate bit, they are not into they start their jobs out of disparity. So we realize that, okay, can we be able to bring stakeholders from the education sector, from the civil society, from government, from the industries, to discuss in one room the challenges in the job sector, the opportunities available, the possible solutions that we can be able to deal with. And I'm really very grateful that today with me today, we have representatives from the government, we have representatives from the civil society, the gentleman representing the Federation of the Employers Association in Uganda is here with us. He has all the statistics that we require. We have the employers in the building, people who give these young people jobs. Recently we visited the Harris International plant and we realized that they employ over 1,700 young people. Not necessarily young, but of course, anyone below 80 years is young. So those are some of the things that have given us hope that we will be able to come out with valid decisions or valid strategies that we can be able to implement in order to assist young people. The main reason why we are here today is to ensure that we can come up with credible solutions to enable young people to find work, whether it is initiated by them or whether the companies are able to get equipped to establish these opportunities. I'm also very grateful to have representation from BNI. BNI is one of the growing massive club or institution that is creating a huge transformation in this industry. We will hear from the representative and they'll be able to tell you what BNI is doing. We are also grateful to have the Vice Chancellor of ISPAT University in Uganda. Now, ISPAT University is the leading institution in Uganda, if not in Africa, with IT solutions. I was recently researching about them, but these are guys that deal with almost all IT companies. They have partnerships with them. And what they're bringing on table is to help enhance the IT skills and of course other subjects like business management, administration, things like that. But they're doing a great job. In the building, we have built in Ghana. This was a way of encouraging industries to emphasize on production and growth from within. So it was a way, it's a patriotic move in the economic growth of this country. And last but not least, our Honorable Minister, Dr. Bala Magari, the State Minister for Youth, the one that has been able to, he's not about the news, he's on a daily basis creating impact, asking governments to forgive young people who are misbehaving in different prisons, but at the same time, very passionate about establishing employment opportunities for young people. He has several companies under his name. He's a businessman. He really has an idea of what is failing in our country in terms of creating jobs. He has possible solutions that we can deal with. And he's one of the key people that we can send to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, but also even to the President about what we feel that we need solutions for, especially in regards to what we are discussing here. I want to recognize everyone that has come, our partners from the Ghana Hotel Owners Association, BNI, Bristol Canadian Academy, Dr. Garesh, and everyone that has come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, so another round of applause. So if you're not excited about the people in the room, I am. Why? Because it's also an opportunity for us to network. Many times we are wondering, when will I ever meet Honor or Amelia? Apart from the song we had about her, how many of you have met her? You know? How many? Yes, there are few people. Honestly, let's be real. So it's an opportunity for you to network. We really are young people. We've got a lot. There's a lot to give. But for me, the most important thing is the discussions we're having today, because these are real challenges. Everyone sitting here has someone that is not got a job. Everyone here has someone you are just waiting and sending a message to another person that you know. If there's another opportunity, can I please send someone, my person? So unemployment is real. The challenges at the workplace are real, and it's a good thing that at this time we are discussing these issues. But also, most importantly, that Brian and his team have actually taken. Now we have career day. I will tell you, if each one of us here is very honest, many people study things that they're not practicing at all. Including myself. So why? Because he talked about career guidance. It wasn't really, or if it's there, it's not really, to guide you. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, an Indian friend sometime back, and he said to me that India, we start to, look at the child probably at 10, 9 years, what are their strengths, what are they good at, and then they will mold. There are even career assessment tests that are done, evaluators that are done, so that you end up in the profession. For example, me who's an extrovert, I'm a marketer by profession, by the way, having studied procurement, that is the career guidance I lacked. But I end up thriving in a space that you're happy in. So there's a lot to learn today, and I think it's a good day that we're here for. So we will have our next speech. We will have a speech from Mr. Simon Harvey, who is the CEO of Harris International. Every one of us in this room has heard of Reham, commonly known as Reham. You've probably had a product. I was just mentioning to him earlier on, I think I'm an addict of honor, and I take it a lot. I am impressed with the growth of the business, and it's really, we are happy to have the CEO here with us to share with us, because just like Brian said, they employ over 1,000 people. Anyone who's been to the plant, you have seen, what they're doing. It's amazing. So let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Mr. Simon Harvey, who will be giving us a speech. excited to hear what you have to share with us. As he is organizing some, otherwise it's already up. Okay, so as he comes, it's only right. I think, how many products from Reham do we know? Anyone? Interesting. I'm not going to ask the senior HR, she's seated right here. Anyone? Which Reham products do we? Yes, over here. Tamarind. Oh, tamarind. Someone likes tamarind. Did some of you even know that Reham has tamarind, a drink? You see? Publicity. Any other person on this table? Rock Boom. And it's a gentleman, you know? Rock Boom is their favorite product. Any other person? I'm interested to hear. Oh, are we taking water? They also have water, you know? Oh, you're taking the water crystal. So you've had, there's water. Any other person? On now, my favorite as well. So you see, you've got customers in this house. They are very excited and waiting to hear from you. So you're welcome.
Good morning, everybody. What I'm going to talk about this morning is leadership. And I know that you're at the beginning of your careers, not at the end of your careers like myself. There's a few older people here more in front. But leadership is something I'm very passionate about. And I'm passionate about how that will move organizations from where they were in the past to where they need to be in the next generation. So basically, if this thing will work, if not, I'll go again. I'll just tell you who I am. I've been introduced and where I come from, but then just really talk about the competitive advantage of people, and then a little, hopefully the video will work, but it's for you to just actually look at yourselves and what you need to do when you need to go forward. Okay, I was born in the UK. I spent most of my life in South Africa. I've worked in or with 36 African countries, so I call myself an African. I'm married, I have 3 daughters. Tomorrow I actually speak at the female conference at FOO, and I'm quite passionate about diversity. And diversity is not just about male, female, black, white, in South Africa where I come from, but also about youth. You know, when you sit in a management team or executive team, it is good to have a spread. Too many organizations in the past, you looked at the C-suite and they were all in their 60s. And it was very difficult for them to actually understand what the consumer looks like when you're only in that one generation. Now today we've got Gen Zs, Gen X, we've got Gen this, and Gen that. And you know, specifically Uganda, where 25% of the population are under the age of 25, which I know a number of you here are, it's unbelievable what that's going to change this country in the next 10 years. And we as organizations need to understand that. My new PA is helping me. Oh, you got better luck. Let's maybe just go man. I've worked for many organizations. Some of them you'll know. Harris I was introduced about. That's my latest organization. But I started with Tiger, which is a conglomerate of food businesses in South Africa. I then moved to SAB Miller, which was then brought up by ABI. I did a stint in Diageo, which is a spirits company. And then my latest, last 2 was Tombo Hewlett, which is a sugar business. So I went into Agric and a million of sugar. And then lastly, for the last 2 years, I've been in Uganda as Harris CEO. That's just a group of the brands. And as you say, I'm not going to go through them, but I've kind of had quite a diverse FMCG background. From sugar to Johnny Walker, which also had a little bit of sugar in it. And from global giants to local heroes. Johnny Walker is probably one of the biggest brands in the world. Rockwool is our flagship brand in Iona. Thank you whoever said that they are a Rockwool drinker. we are the market leaders in 2 categories in this country. We are market leaders in energy with Rockwood, and we are market leaders with Juice with our brand owner, and with a number 3 player with our CSPs. But what I want to talk about is competitive advantage of people, the men and women that make up our organisations. What is a competitive advantage? Well, basically it means something that allows you to charge more and make more profits out of it. And in my belief, there's only 3 places this can come from. It can come from brands, it can come from process, so you have a unique process, or it comes from people. Probably the 2 easiest, definitely process is very easy to copy, and I think with AI now it's going to make it even easier. And brands, you can spend money on brands, you can build your brands, it's easy. What you can't copy is people. I'm going to give you an example of that. My apologies if you're not a soccer supporter, but I'm just going to use an analogy or an example of what I'm saying from a people perspective. Hopefully, even if you're not a soccer supporter, you've heard of these 2 major European soccer teams. Real Madrid and PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. If you look at the amount of money that these 2 organisations have spent on transfers or buying of people over the last 10 years, how I see it, they have a better game plan. They are able to play the game better. They have better culture, a winning culture, and they actually are a team. I think probably one of the biggest problems that PSG has ever had with players like Mbappe, etc., is they've got these stars, but they don't gel together. And in organisations like soccer teams, you have to have a team. You've got to have the proper teamwork. Whether you're a small group at the bottom doing engineering, or you're the CEO, I can't do everybody's job. You have to have a team around you that can actually perform what needs to be done. So it's critical, not just to have the right people, but you've got to get the right out of those people. And as leaders, that's what's important. You actually progress through your careers, whether you're a supervisor or you end up as a CEO, you've got to learn how to get people below you to give you what needs to be done for the organisation. Okay. I'm going to talk about my leadership model, but there is no one fit all. There's no right or wrong answer. And that's the great thing about leadership. You can design your own leadership style that gets best out of people. But mine has these elements. You have to have a vision. You need to know where you're going. You need to be goal-orientated. Whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to run faster, whether you want to build a business that becomes the best, you've got to have an objective of where you want to get to. You can't get there without knowing. Once you've got that, you've got to have a plan. What's the step-by-step components you are needed to get to that plan or to that goal? You need to be solution-driven. You need to have mentorship, and I'm passionate about mentorship. In an organisation, both inside and outside, you have to be able to give back. And that's one of the reasons why I do these sort of talks, is because this is my way of giving back to the next generation or a different area of expertise. Just some thoughts around how I've worked and how I can try and help build the next workforce of tomorrow. You have to be a team, you've got to have casting. I'll take you through a slide for each of these. You've got to be a motivator. You must want to go to work. You must want to come to this conference. If you ever go to a conference saying, oh God, I'm going to be here again, you're never going to get the best out of it. If you're going to work and you kind of say, oh, today is going to be long. And what I can tell you is, you're in a long time for work. For those that just come out of school, you're going, that was quite difficult. Well, I always say to my daughters, you're 13 years old now. Well, guys, when you work, you're working for 40 to 45 years. The 11 or 12 years you spent at school is actually quite a small period of your time. So enjoy what you're into goals. And who's heard of the word grab? What is it? close, but it's more around big, audacious, achievable goals. So don't dream small, dream big. Aim for the moon, or aim for the stars, you'll get to the moon. And I think it's just something from my early years in SAP Miller, we always used to set ourselves really stretched targets, probably knowing that we were never going to hit those targets. But because we stretched ourselves, we actually hit more than we would have hit before if we hadn't stretched ourselves. But I think the critical thing is there are too many people, and think about this in your own life, concentrating on what's wrong. What's your weakness? Too many organizations get kind of caught up in that. Even you as individuals, what are you good at? How do you spend your time making that better? Minimize your weaknesses. It's not about fixing weaknesses. It's about minimizing your weaknesses and building on your strengths. And goals need to be simple and clear. Don't try and make them too complex. Things don't happen by chance. You don't go on holiday by chance. You have to plan it. So plan what you want to do. When, where. And I was sitting in a presentation yesterday, and the guys were saying, we need to do this, this, and this. And my critical session through that was, when? Give me the deliverable day, the time, when will you get it done? Because if you don't put that into a time plan, things don't happen. I think, focus on the solutions. How many times have we sat back and always kind of complain and think about the problem and get caught up in the problem? Think about that solution. Don't overanalyze stuff. My advice to you is that 95% is good enough. We spend 70% getting to 95% and then the next 30% trying to fix that last 5. And the value you get out of that last 5 is minuscule. Rather just concentrate on what will make the big decisions, what will make the big movement, and then move on. Everything. An organization is no different. If you don't have a good CFO, a good human resource department, a good operating department, you can't have a good organization. So you need to cast. You need to look at the strengths and weaknesses of people in your team and how do you make them the 2 plus 2. So if you put a new CFO in, how do you make sure the people below them have the ability to help them grow in that job? Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to get at? And motivation. And in this great movie, right, it's about American football, you don't win a game of American football in the one big play. It's step by step, inch by inch. And that's the same as an organisation. If you have big wins, those normally and quick wins, they're not normally the ones that last. They're the ones that chip away. Those wins that are consistent over time are the ones that sustain. And you've got to have reward and recognition to make sure people, and reward and recognition is not necessarily money. I think another thing I've learned over my 30 years of business is actually sometimes a pat on the back, a well done, actually drives a lot of motivation inside an organisation. And I'm sorry to say this, those that thought that their learning days had finished when they left university or school, you don't stop learning. And if you have an idea that you think you've stopped learning, then I'm sorry, you will struggle in the world out there. Things are changing. We live in a volatile world, really fast changing. We have to learn. What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. What didn't work yesterday may work tomorrow. And we've got to just keep looking at how do we improve ourselves and our organisations to make sure that we continue to learn and develop ourselves. So Harris, where I came 2 years ago, so those that don't know, we are a beverage and snack business. We play against the world's probably 2 biggest organisations, Pepsi and Coke, and we believe we've done quite a good job. But it was only established in 2005, so it's a fledgling business, we're not even 20 years old. And we probably, let's say, have market leadership in juices, we have market leadership in energy, and we're a strong number 3 player in CSDs. So just basically, and I'm not going to read through it, but I'm just trying to give you an example of my management style, my leadership style, and then how does it kind of fit in? And every single one of those components I've taken you through, we make sure we drive as an organisation. Inside the organisation, across my management team, across my leadership team, into everything. So it's a holistic way of looking at our strategy and how we implement our strategy and how we drive it. Now, your future is your choice. It's your business. It's not mine. It's not the team here. It's not, I went to the conference and I'm going to make myself, and the answer's going to be there. I'm going to play you a video. I'm going to try and see if you can get the sound because there's no connection to sound. But I'm going to ask this question. Has any of you heard of Nick Vujicic? Should I have hands? Okay, for yo.
Have in our life, then to make the decision to give up. Because once you give up, then there is no hope. But until you give up, there is that hope. My passion is to encourage people, to inspire people to be all that they can be. I found my purpose, I found my strength, and I want you to find yours. Don't be afraid of failing. Every time you fall down, every time you fail, you learn something new. You're ready for the next one. You've learned how not to do something. Well, then learn from it and move on. Leave what's behind and press forward. You can only win if you don't give up. Don't let anything hold you back. If nothing's holding me back, what's holding you back? No goal is too big. No dream is too far-fetched. It's as big as you can dream it. There are times in life where you don't see the purpose or the good in your situation. But just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not coming. You see, many people think that I have only one foot, just because you can't see the other one. I've gone from a life without limits into a life without limits. What about you?
So, how many times you kind of think your life is difficult and you want to give up? Well, if you have no arms, no legs, and you can do what the individual does, I'm sorry, we have nothing in our lives that can be difficult to that sort of extreme. And that's what makes me so passionate about the choices are yours. You need to make the difference in your careers and in your society and in this lovely country. Good luck in your future. Is there any questions you would like to ask me before I hand back to the MC?
I think it's only important that we ask, who mentored you and what put you on the road to mentorship?
It's probably one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked. I've had numerous mentors during my career. A guy called Graham Mackay, who was the CEO of South African Breweries when we were a small South African business down in the bottom of Africa. Him and a guy called Malcolm Wyman, who was a finance director in those days, had this belief that they could become the biggest brewer in the world. And when you kind of think in the bottom of South Africa, you kind of think, that's insane. Well, for a short period of about 3 years, they were the biggest in Africa. Well, not in Africa, in the world. And then they were bought out by Anheuser-Busch, who was the number 2, who kind of then became the number 1. But they had this little thing, they left South Africa with a bag of cash in those days, in dollars, and went and bought their first brewery in Hungary, and then they slowly went to Poland, and then carried on and on and on. And over about 20 years, they got to, why do you have a relationship with Pepsi, and talk to the MD of Pepsi and MD of Coke? Well, why not? Now, why not? You know, we have a straight belief we compete, but there's a lot of common issues amongst ourselves that we can actually discuss, whether it's dealing with government, whether it's dealing with legislation of PET. And those are the kind of things is never just get caught up. I have conversations across, so I'm happy to have a conversation with guys in the cement business or NGOs, because you can take little things. And I always say, if you have a conversation with somebody and when you leave that conversation, You take one good thing out of it and put it into your toolbox. Whether it's a forklift driver who tells you about maybe some issues he's having, or it's a CEO of a multinational. Every conversation, there's always a one good point you can take from it. And that's where I've probably learned more than in the books. The guys are really good at writing books, and my apologies for anybody who writes books, but they normally take other people's ideas and just put it into words. Okay.
Thank you. It was a very exciting presentation and speech. We have had on several occasions youth being mentored, people being mentored, going through the processes, but they still don't make it. What is that saying goes from P, you believe that you make it?
I think it's getting up every time you're knocked down. And unfortunately, in youth of today, you are going to get knocked down a lot. You know, the amount of jobs being created is not as enough for the number of people that are out there. But you've just got to keep knocking on that door, asking the questions, looking for the opportunities. You know, the company, you know, one of my biggest things I've said to my team in Uganda is, I sometimes feel Uganda feels like the second cousin of East Africa. You know, we underplay ourselves, and no disrespect, but sometimes we play ourselves against the Kenyans and the Tanzanians. We have some of the best products. We have some of the best countryside. Why do we think that we're a second cousin to Kenya and Tanzania? We need to take the best of Uganda, not only to East Africa, to Africa and to the world, because there's some great things here. And I do support what the government has done around buy Uganda, build Uganda, import substitution. We were the first organisation in soft drinks to use Ugandan sugar. We use 100% Ugandan sugar. We try as much as possible to use Ugandan products to be able to produce our final product. And the President has done great steps in trying to allow or build an infrastructure and a regime which allows us to build Uganda. And it's critical for us now to take the best of Uganda outside Uganda. Because we have to, corporates, it's not the government that's going to create jobs. It's corporate, it's businesses, it's small businesses, it's agriculture, it's everything that's going to create the jobs of tomorrow. Governments can only employ people, and those countries that try to employ too many people actually hasn't worked. They need to create the environment that thrives for business.
Thank you so much. You have worked with many different organizations and in very many different countries. Does it still scare you when you're starting with a new team? And if it does, what is it that you do that holds you there still?
I would say everything does scare you in some format. I mean, coming into a new country, a new continent or whatever. But again, I go back to that video. If I'd been born with no legs and no...
Who happens also to be a senior presidential advisor, the National Council of Higher Education member, but also the Vice Chancellor of Isbat University, Professor Dr. K.M. Matthew, who looks like an Indian but an Englishman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to join you at this year's annual Human Capital Leaders Conference. This gathering comes at a very critical time for our nation as we face the urgent task of addressing the challenge and opportunities in human capital development, particularly for the youth who make up the largest percentage of Uganda's population. The young people represent not only the future, but also the formidable driving force of this country. They are brimming with the potential creativity and determination. However, the reality of youth unemployment remains a significant hurdle that we must all overcome. As government leaders in labor, education, and industry, therefore we have the responsibility to create pathways for the youth to thrive not just as employees, but as innovators and entrepreneurs. I, for one, I got my first job at 45 recently, 44 recently, but I've been working as a self-employed person. I'm a medium taxpayer for the last 10 years. Medium taxpayer, when I looked at the list, last year's URA list, I was number 187 taxpayer in Uganda. So you don't pay tax on, I wasn't paying tax on how much I earn at the ministry. But I was paying tax as an entrepreneur, as a self-made man, as an events person, as an industrialist. So that is how I've been earning. So it is better we support and listen and promote innovators and entrepreneurs. Incredible Youth International, whatever you do, you are doing it for the good of this country. You are focusing on career development. I remember a few months ago you said you were home in Ntate, in Mukono, when I represented the First Lady. I was impressed with what you are doing, though you don't have so much. I think as government we need to support you either with some of the things that you are using for skills development, because many countries in the world, including the USA, the private sector or individuals, sole proprietors are the leading employers. The US government, as it is, it employs less than 20% of the labor force. The 80% are employed by Apple, Elon Musk, and all the other people. So our focus should be on innovation. Elon is an innovator who has even cut costs on exploration and space visits. So when you look at how much Elon spent in sending a craft to space and how much the US government spends, Elon has cut the cost by almost 90% or 75%. So innovators and entrepreneurs should be supported. This year's theme of the conference, Empowering Today's Workforce Through Innovation and Skill Development for the Future Employability, reflect the urgent need to create an environment that fosters innovation and find ways to equip young in a government such as ICT. Honorable Monica Musenero, she is leading the Ministry of Science and Technology. As you are aware, so many innovations are coming up through her. We are also now assembling cars in Chira, in Usoga, Jinja, which is a very big yard on almost 200 acres of land. So the Minister of Honorable Musenero will work closely with all young people who are in innovation, and we are intending to set up an innovation lab in Entebbe under the Office of the President. We have acquired about 200 acres of land. That will be an innovation village where people go and think, then they get what they have thought. The think tank sits there, they think, and then they send to factories to work on what they have innovated. I want to thank Harris International for supporting these young people. Also, energetic, I don't need to recognize. So, ladies and gentlemen, the conference is not just a platform for us to come and talk, but it is important that we brainstorm and hear from you as we urge you to do innovation, but also innovation comes with a cost. So what can government do for you? That should be our main thing. And as government, we look positively, engage with you and come up with, listen to you, understand the challenges you find as young innovators and scientists, and see how best we can support you, because innovation will drive up the growth of our country. At the ministry, we recognize empowering our youth hand in hand with promoting inclusive growth, ensuring gender equity in the workforce, and providing social protection for vulnerable groups. Our aim is to support initiatives that promote skills development, entrepreneurship, and access to opportunities, while ensuring that the most disadvantaged youth are not left behind. In a conclusion, my friends, the annual Human Capital Leaders Conference is a reflection of our collective future for all of us. It is now my singular honor to declare the annual Human Capital Leaders Conference opened. For God and my country, I remain Bargahara Balam Ateni, Minister of Youth, and Children Affairs, Government of Uganda.
Thank you. Another round of applause, honestly. Because 80% of the people in this room are youth. True or false? Look at your neighbor and tell me. Look at your neighbor and tell me. It's really, really true. So why this is important for us, I have learned over time that information is very important. Everything that he said is giving us information. What is government doing? Where are we doing? He even mentioned names. He talked about ministries, all initiatives to help us be better. So there's something that I've always read. There are 3 types of people in this world. There are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And then I'm told there are those ones who will ask, hey, what happened? So please do not be that. He talked about entrepreneurship, getting his first job at 44. That I told you I needed not introduce him. Everyone knows Balaam. Why? Because he's been a business person. So, Honorable, please don't leave. I know we have burning questions. Let's ask.
I can give you 10 minutes.
Oh, thank you so much. If you have questions, please confidently put up your hand. The Honorable is here. It is very difficult to find, them after here. So please ask your questions.
And that is wrong. You can't say they can't find us.
They'll find you.
We work in public offices, so we are available.
So
Every Tuesday morning, I'm available for everybody.
Okay, so you've had.
Monday, cabinet.
Okay.
The other days, the field.
Okay, so please, let's ask our questions. If you need clarification for the people in the room, let's ask and exhaust. Let him not leave the room and you're thinking, oh, I should have asked him something. Any questions? We have someone? You have okay, good. We have a question over here. I hope you're raising your hand and not scratching your head. Okay, we have.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Yes. Like I see, I work at Bodonia Dance Hotel. You've said you've been unemployed into entrepreneurship for the last very many years of your life. You just got your job at 44. My question is to the youth that are starting out in business, you that has been in entrepreneurship and working and paying. You said you checked URA and you are 187. That was your number in paying taxes. What advice would you give to a youth starting out in business? What would you tell them? How would they make it out
To excel.
country?
One,
Yes.
thank you, Nakasi. Where did Auntie? Ndiga. Okay. So one, the principles of success are simple. It's not a book like someone asked, which book can we read? There's no book. It's ethical. It's moral. Determination. You must be honest. When I started business, I started in Intinda. I was at the university in 2001. So when I was at the university, I met 2 other friends. They had a dream of doing Miss Makerere. I said, before we do Miss Makerere, it will be expensive because you need to buy a car to donate. Why don't we venture out in doing the Mombox Bazaar or Micho Bazaar? So we tendered, we went to the Dean of Students, John Nkulu. We tendered, he said, this is the much we shall pay, the university agreed. So he gave us the bazaar, that bazaar. So now, we needed to sell space to make back the money so that we can pay the Dean of Students account. So we moved around Sudhir, Pereira, Credit Bank, all these other people. They came and paid Nairobi Breweries. So for Nairobi Breweries, we said, let's share profit. Bring the beer we sell, and we shall make money. The profit after your crate cost, I think a crate was 17,500. But beer people were drinking it at a bottle at 2,000 that time. So you would make close to 48,000, but then they wanted 17,500. So instead of paying me 1 million for a tender, I also participated in the sale. So we made money there, then now went for Miss Makerere. So it was a matter of determination and willingness to spend less than what you earn. Many of you earn 1 million, you are sleeping in an apartment of 800,000, and then you are telling the world how 7 is not helping you. Many of you think Museveni will come and open. I'm not Museveni's son. He never gave me capital. He phoned me when I was successful. He identified me and he thought I could contribute to the youth empowerment or to youth development or to youth challenges. So I keep telling people, I'm not working for any RM. I'm working for Ugandans. I'm a patriot. That is why when it comes to matters of national unity platform, I'm concerned. There are young people of productive age who should be corrected and given a chance to reform and contribute to the economy. So be honest, be determined, spend less. Many of you want hairstyle. Now, how much does Mama Maria Chambade have? Why doesn't she have a wig? Why doesn't she have this hair which fall on the bum? Some of you have hair that fall on the bum. That hair is 300,000. Have you seen her hair? So she is managing her expenses. She's living moderate. She doesn't need a kit of makeup, copper, cotton, all those things you use. So the money she should have used, the best she can do is to go to Sheraton Gym or Serena, go for facial, come and eat good meal, a nice buffet, then think wise. But for you, you put a lot of hair on your head, then you claim the head is hurting you, taking headaches every now and then you want progress. You cannot progress. So be honest, then time keeping. You will not be successful unless you keep time. I keep telling my PA, tell the organizers of a conference, I will be there on time and I will leave at such and such a time. Because I know time is money. So when I come, they told me we shall open at 9:30 here. I was here at 9, giving an allowance of 30 minutes for people to organize. But we started our meeting at 10:10. You see, we are not keeping time. And it's a problem in Uganda, we don't keep time. However, nice thing we have, we never keep time. This British, he is a British, these white men, they will keep time. Then for us, we waste a lot of time. Actually, the other thing is we waste a lot of time on which tie will fit my shirt, which tie. I never wanted this thing, my t-shirt, zoom on my t-shirt, move on, put on it, and then move. Zuckerberg doesn't wear suits. How many times have you seen Elon Musk wearing suits? How many times did you see Steve Jobs wearing suits? But for us now, we call them imperialists, but we copied a lot of the imperialists and we live beyond even, we live more than the imperialists. My friend is the CEO of Reham. Reham is among the 50 leading taxpayers at the moment. And is also employing both direct and indirectly, but the CEO has no tie. So for us, the young people, we are stealing to buy nice suits to match. We want to match. I'm not stealing because my ministry there is even no 400 million to steal. No money to steal in that ministry. It is a ministry of talking. Yes. So this is it. So, madam, know what you want. Go for what you can do. Don't grab big. Start small. Become big. From being a sales agent of Nile Breweries, I became a sales distributor by 2004. By 2007, I was exporting. I was the first to export Pilsner and Uganda Orange to Juba. And then I was the first to export Pilsner and Uganda Orange to Congo. In 2007, everyone would fear going to Juba. There were landmines along the road. But for us, we said Ituri Babamba, and we entered. One truck entered. You come back with money that can buy 4 trucks. But the risk is high. From Atiak, from Golo to Atiak, we would spend a week. There were no roads. That's why I keep thanking the president. That the president has made roads, but then the roads have endangered us who are profiting from bad roads.
I got a job with UNFPA consultants. So my question of late has been, what are the plans for the ministry to have such platforms that expose the youth? Because we also, in that time, around 2015, even I think UCC, there were quite a number of initiatives that were encouraging our young people to innovate. So what platforms are in place? The second question, Honorable, I have talked to some people in Singapore. Countries like Singapore have funds for the youth. where when you reach 18, you can access a certain fund. How possible, or is there a plan? I know we are still a poor country, but is there possibly a plan for us to have something?
Let me start with that. We have currently what we call the Youth Livelihood Fund, but that Youth Livelihood Fund at our level, we give from 2.5 million to 12 million, and the money is readily available. You don't need security, all you need is a recommender. We have a portfolio of over 200 billion in the different banks, and the interest on that money is very minimal or little. It's a revolving fund. You pick it, work, return it after 24 months. Then currently we also have the Grow Money for young women in business. You can borrow from 4 million up to 200 million, and the interest on it is only 10.5%, between 10 to 10.5%. We are in Equity Bank, DFCU, Think Finance Trust, and Post Bank. So you can get that money. But also you can visit Private Sector Foundation. They also have money for youth development and for entrepreneurs, for innovators. Then for innovation, there is money under the Office of the Minister of Science and Technology, Honorable Senero. Then as regards to, at our level as Uganda, we do not have money. That is why we have almost 7. And that money is for the poor people in the village. And it's also a revolving fund. They give it, you go and work. The best thing about it, they are not paying interest. You are turning the principal. After you have started a business and you are earning that money, the 1 million in the village. 1 million is a lot for some business people. So you earn your 1 million either through grocery, either through vegetables, either through food, either through making mats, doors, flowers, plants, fishing, all these other things. So you pick that money, you give it back to the circle. The money will remain in the circle, in the parish. So now you see, the little money we have, we are borrowing, but also now we have a mind as the first country in East Africa to share with the common man in every parish, regardless of who is born where. Rwachtora Parish receives 100 million. My village in Masindi will receive 100 million. Amelia Chambade's village, Maokota, she receives 100 million. Every parish of Uganda. So that is one way of empowering our parents and the disadvantaged or the vulnerable from vulnerability to money economy. So I believe we are on the right track. As regards to the awards you received that time, you see that time we didn't have the Minister of Science and Technology. Now innovation and ICT, all those things will now follow under Minister of ICT. I remember 2015, Minister of ICT, it wasn't ICT, it was Minister of Information. Now they added Minister of Information and Communication Technology and National Guidance. They have made it too big. So it's meant to come under that. Me, I will focus on youth livelihood and web. Then Honorable Yomus should focus on information and technology and national guidance. Then Honorable Senator should also focus on science. This program that Honorable Chibule and the other ministers who are in gender that they did, and it unveiled a couple of young people who are now successful in business. It's, I think, important we start those kind of awards, so that we can now support more good people. Through 20 shows and expos and IT expos, we shall identify good people. And we can also...
For some of you that I don't know, Honorable, honestly, you have done a lot in this, among business people. You have done a lot in your tenure in Uganda's government, and for us we have seen it. So you're welcome, Honorable. A round of applause, everyone. Let's welcome the Honorable.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, Dr. John Geletis, chairperson of Credible Youth, Brian, or president, I don't know what you call yourself, CEOs of different organizations, and the youth leaders all practically observed. Well, my neighbor from Isbet University, How Protocol observed? Well, my focus is going to be on the youth and skill. But I'll introduce myself briefly. I'm Amelia Chambati. I started working when I was actually youth. In my 20s, I started in my father's farm as an advocate. I was an advocate, a law firm, and he said, after my training, I started as a secretary, but I grew in my career up to the level of MBA through training, skill, and then going back to school. I started as a very young mother, and I've grown with my children. Actually, they look older than me. And so as a youth, I took so many decisions. I want to talk about the youth here in Uganda. When we talk about the youth, normally we don't categorize them. We say youth. But we have the professionals, we have those in the corporate world, we have the unskilled, we have the skilled, we have the rural youth who are actually leading a very different life from the urban youth. I've been listening to radios, and I've listened to so many people, and I've listened to the youth complaining. What has government done for us? Oh, government has not done anything for us. But I'd like to give you some figures. But then as I go through, I'll be able to talk about what government has done, where the youth are employed, but what are the challenges? Has government intervention been effective? And the way forward. I'll try to be as brief as possible. So my first one is Uganda through the key stakeholders in the workforce. The government, private sector, civil society organizations, international department, partners and education institutions have waged a war in empowering today's workforce through innovation and skills development for future employability by setting up different institutions. And I compiled a list of the institutions that we have. We have those who have been in universities, which we are 62 in number, and we graduate 60,000 graduates per annum when you look at the metrics. And then when you look at the vocational institutions, we have 264 vocational institutions, but we graduate almost 30,000 per annum. Then we have professional trainings, people who train as nurses, as nurses, ICT institutions. There are some oil and gas institutions. So these are 124 professional training institutions in the country, and we graduate 15,000. Of course, there are some NGOs and strategies that are in place by foreign companies. Sometimes World Bank has introduced some, Germany, and several institutions. These are 8, and we graduate 92,000 in different skills. So you find that we have graduates in different sectors, about 197,000 that graduate every year. So you find that about 10.5 million youth are equipped with different skills. For example, technical skills, trade, computer skills, healthcare, automotive management, cosmetology, and many others. And as a result, where do they go? Because that is what we should ask ourselves. Because some of you who are seated here saying, where do we fall in that cluster? Or what happened to us? What went wrong? Those who have gone through some have failed to get jobs and they've resorted to go into agriculture. You find that they are farming, so processing their goods. Formal sector, others have been employed by the formal sector, others have started micro, small enterprises, others are into manufacturing, tourism, trade and other construction, technological advancement. But there is a very big sector that we need to focus on, it's the informal sector. Some of you who are seated here actually could be engaging in the informal sector where you have not formalized your business. So you do not surface on the EURA, on the revenue list. So those are also there. I will talk about the informal sector because I spend a lot of time in the rural communities. And I found that you find the youth who are in sand mining, there's some who are in border riding, even in the city. You find some who are in market vending. All those are youth struggling to exist in this horizon. So those who have been employed, these are some of the numbers, the figures I got from UBOS. And I'm trying to compare 2021 to 2024. In that matrix, many have resorted to agriculture, a lot of youth. You can see there is an increase from 3 million to 5 million, trade from 2 to 3, manufacturing from 809 to 1.1, transport and storage. There's some in education because a lot of schools have come up and some are teachers. Education, you have said education, construction, and other service activities. So all these are young people between the ages of 15 and sometimes we stretch up to the 40s, because though I think those are also still, or 30 something. So you find that there was an increment from 8 million youth who have benefited from some of the projects or strategies that have been put in place. We should not overlook the issue of skills development programs, infrastructure. About my experience of accessing finances. Of course, we always tell people, form a cooperative, but the cooperative is comprises of young people who also don't have an income. I'm happy Doctor is here, you'll be able to give us a solution to that. Financing amongst the youth who are starting business. Because every organization that is giving you its coin wants a benefit from you, wants something from you, wants you to pay back. So let me talk about the rural community. We can't run away from the rural community. As much as we're urban, we have challenges, for example, like digital divide. We are talking about technology. We move around with these phones. But do everybody know how to use the phone to make money? Especially the rural ones. For them, they think WhatsApp and all this, digital divide, limited technology adoption, limited access to electrification. We should find solutions to that. I'll talk about some of the solutions. Poor transportation networks. Then also look at this young person, affordability to access academics, because the parents cannot afford to take you to school. Then there is skills mismatch, gender disparities, child labor, even in the city. We look at these kids in the streets, we just pass. How many of us stop to find out why this kid is on the street? Limited access to finance, I've talked about that, and climate change. So what is the way forward? Okay, I've talked about all these challenges. We need to have mobile skilling systems, whereby instead of having these institutions, let's say MTAC here stuck in Kampala, let them roll out their skilling programs into the villages. And that is what I'm doing as an SPA industry, by working with MTAC, partnering with Management Training Advisory Council, and taking them to skill people in making soap, pavers, oils, certain different types of cosmetics, and different things. And what we do, we give them small scale equipment. For example, we've been giving out small scale equipment to make soap. So let us shift this skilling from institutions and make them more dynamic and roll them out to the rural communities so that they can benefit, because they cannot afford to travel to Kampala to study. Where will they stay? So that means you have these disparities of people who are totally underprivileged and very poor, and the people who are privileged and benefit from the programs of government. The beautiful programs that I've talked about is the ordinary person benefiting from them. Another one is, I'm glad there is this program of PDM, Parish Development Model, whereby each group gets 1 million to do business. But I've been there and I've seen what really happens. Apparently, it is the leaders who are benefiting from that. The leaders, from the chairman, vice chairman, secretary, top echelon, who are rich, but they're the ones now who are benefiting from that 1 million. And I've been very, very angry with them. Now, filling forms, because they tell them you have to fill in these forms. I'm a young person, I'm a sand miner, I did not go to school. How will I be able to fill that form appropriately? I don't even know what you're talking about. There's also a bit of corruption, because the officer, the CBO, who's helping me to fill the form, wants me, out of 1 million, to give him 300,000. And I have to pay back that entire 1 million. How? So these are some, as much as government is trying to ensure that even the grassroots communities benefit, there's still that challenge. Another challenge on electrification. I've been moving around and everybody says, especially we who attempt to be in politics, they think you're supposed to bring electricity everywhere. She hasn't brought electricity, she's gone. She hasn't brought electricity. How do we overcome that? We have this energy, free energy. What happened to the solar energy? We tried to introduce that at one point. Where did it end? Free! So that people can benefit, so that people can run their small equipment on that, so that our economies, even the rural economies, can grow. So I would, as most of them are in farming, how do you run away from the rudimentary inputs? I'm bringing these questions so that we can exchange ideas as well. You might have better ideas. This person with a hoe wakes up every day to toil, to work and be able to plant something on his plot of land or her. But how far are you going to go with that hoe? Even if you employ, that is why they keep, when it is a planting season, they don't take kids to school. The kids are the laborers. And you big bosses are here in the city, you don't know what's going on there at the grassroots because nobody's bothered. So the whole family, from the kid of 6 to the kid of 15, will miss school during the planting season. And the leaders are not bothered, the chairmen. Their tummies are growing bigger because they are benefiting from land disputes. And for them, they're interested in having your land, mediating between your land being sold to the rich people than you toiling to grow food there. I said these years have helped me. These are some of the things we never took interest in because we're busy. Flying to World Trade Organization, flying, speaking English like what? I don't know. And your people are there suffering. I think those are some of the areas that I feel. But financing, how do we finance this? PDM is there, but is it enough? Of course, there are some other programs, youth livelihood, but it's a vicious cycle because remember, it is the leaders, the chairmen, who are responsible for endorsing your papers, and don't think you're endorsing for free. They're not endorsing them for free, they want something small, but it's not small as far as you're concerned. So I'd like to conclude that Uganda's workforce is characterized by a young population. But how do we reach out to the underprivileged clusters? Because tomorrow, they will be hungry. They will be hungry for power. They will be angry with anger for being left behind. And we might be sitting on a time bomb. So this august house of intelligent people, of people who have dealt with youth. I can see there is Dr. Abaguma, who is one of our experts, to come up with solutions, and we see how these recommendations could help. As an SPA industry, I'm looking for industrialization, but how do I acquire industrialization in the rural communities? I will not be able to do that because my people who are supposed to work in those industries are unskilled. So now I'm also very thirsty for skills for the young generation. So I would like to make a statement that fostering a skilled and adapted workforce will be crucial for Uganda's development, will be crucial for East Africa's development, will be crucial for Africa's investment. I thank you all for listening to me.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking from your heart. Thank you for being honest. because you have experienced it. The truth of the matter is, it is not easy, guys. It seems all glitz and glamour, but like she said, at the grassroots, we're here in Kampala in AC, enjoying the conference, but it's a different story out there. So for me, the takeaway from her discussion is, how do we start to move away from just here, where it seems easy, to go back to the other people out there? They do not have the education that we have. They're not as confident. They may not speak the English you're speaking, but they have something. So how do we empower beyond I? And I really thank you for this discussion today. So we have questions. I also noticed that when we say, do we have questions now, we're always thinking about the questions, but it's not just the questions. You heard the Honorable, she said, if there are ideas, please share. We are here to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, and how can we, support each other? How can we be able to consider what plans can we come up with? So maybe could we have questions if you think there's something she left out, if there's an area that you think, now today is the day I have found the Honorable, I want to tell her, this is your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Ernest Chivumbi Benjamin. I'm a journalist by profession for HICGI News Agency. I just needed some kind of, I don't know if it's a lesson or something to learn, or even how to go about it. I have a friend of mine who is working in Norway. She so happened to visit our former president, Obote, when she was in exile. She met the president in a funny house. She described a situation where the president was living in poverty even after being in power. From your story, there was no way we could believe that a young person that you came to ask for a loan maybe had lots of questions, having served as a principal private secretary to His Excellency for so many years and the ministers. What is it that needs to be done, especially when people retire? Is there a financial guarantee that maybe if you have money today, I'll have it tomorrow? Or there's something else maybe we could have our eyes open to? Thank you so much.
Another question?
Thank you so much, Honorable. My name is Julius Sentongo. I'm a filmmaker. I need to be advised. I'm an alumni of the New York Film Academy, and I happen to be there on scholarship. The director of the institute was impressed by my performance and offered to bring the price of the cost of the education to the bare minimum if I can organize young people, and then they can move the education to Uganda. What they called bare minimum, which actually was bare minimum, I failed to raise even 2 people who could afford it. And in the other countries, there are, organizations that can part sponsor students, and something like that happens. But maybe I was just ignorant about how the process is. I couldn't find a single one, and so that opportunity simply passed. I'm wondering if this information, if it's available, if there is a way that it can be easier availed to some of us, because I'm sure there are very many other people who have been given this kind of opportunities who would want to pass on, but they don't know where to start. Until today, I don't know where to start on that. Number 2,
URA. URA scares the hell out of us. And so it becomes a very big problem in what's the word? Formalizing businesses. When I was younger, I started a sole proprietor business, which failed after some time. Until today, URA is still writing to me about how much money I owe them, and it's in hundreds of millions. So I'm afraid to even think of starting up another one. And that team was attached to my name because it was a sole proprietorship. So I don't know how to run away from that. But I can imagine how many others have started the same way and are stuck with such a problem. So I don't even know if I'm asking you a question or if it's something for us to just think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes, we have a question over here.
Thank you, Honorable. I just wanted to maybe highlight two things. The first thing is I've had the pleasure of experiencing grassroots initiatives in, for example, our neighbor here, Rwanda, the Muganda Day, coming together as a community to clean your community. And it's that discrimination from the most educated to the least educated. And in that cleaning initiative, it was also an opportunity to pass skills. So for example, one weekend, it could be doctors who are looking for people who want to become doctors. And they're willing to talk to them, to guide them, to walk them through that. The following could be entrepreneurs who are running different, small and medium enterprises, and they meet with locals who are looking to be in that space. So that, for me, I feel was a good initiative when it comes to how do we bring things down to the grassroots. Many of us come from different villages, but we only go there for Christmas and Easter. So how do we have initiatives that would pull people to be more patriotic to where they come from so that they can go back and support the grassroots initiatives? Also for a friend here who was talking about URA, formalization of businesses, small and medium enterprises. Very few people understand the implication of being business owners. Even as simple as a person who's making soap in their homes, to understand that if I'm selling this soap, what is it going to, first of all, cost me, and what do I owe to the government? Simple dissemination of information so that as much as we are the most entrepreneurial country right now based on the global market index of the world, those businesses don't even see their first year. So simple information dissemination to business owners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have two more questions at the back.
Thank you, Honorable. Donald Warhanga is my name, and I'm an entrepreneur. I am particularly interested in the solution you gave for mobile skilling, and I think it is something that will surely propel us forward. However, my only challenge or concern is that almost all the skilling programs, you hear soap making, these okay, I don't know if they are, but it's targeting the informal sector. On a global scene, the fourth industrial revolution has come up. This past week, we saw Elon Musk launching robots and catching a big rocket for space and all that. And we are still focusing on soap making. So my question is, what is the plan for catching up with the rest? Because it's a revolution, we cannot avoid it. And the other thing I have noticed is that we are skilling too late, maybe. That by the time we start these skilling programs, Even when you are telling these people to learn maybe IT skills, it's too late. Their brain has already been wired a certain way. So can we, how can we maybe start early and start to introduce our kids to some of these technologies? Thank you so much.
Okay, can I? Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable. My name is Cynthia Nantumbwe, and I'm a counseling psychologist. I was asked to give ideas, so I think I actually have one. As a counseling psychologist, I have a small business called Elevation Therapy, and I'm trying to work with women to do so many things with women. And I have a small community on WhatsApp where we try to encourage each other and have so many activities together. But I've come to realize that as women, we're going nowhere without the men. With that, we're still working on how to bring the men along, because most of these programs have a lot of women empowerment, and I don't discredit it. I know as women we need all the support we can get, but we're not going anywhere without the men. The idea I have is in terms of how to grow a young business, how to, all of us fear these loans, we fear you're concerned about so many things. I wonder if we can grow an idea from how do we pay it forward. As a young business owner, how am I empowered with a vision to empower someone else behind me? Instead of growing alone, becoming big alone, that whole 1% idea of the rich is quite saddening. How do we get other people to come along with us instead of having these loans that keep people behind and you don't actually grow, then you get in debt, sell everything you have to clear the loan with a percentage that is crazy? How are we creating communities that can actually encourage paying things forward? Thank you very much.
Honorable, 2 more questions and then we'll have answers. So we'll just have the last 2 and then we can listen to them.
Honorable, it's a pleasure meeting you. My name is Maiga David Harry. I'm a general manager of the hotel. I think mine is a call for a paradigm shift in the way things are done in Uganda. We have done a lot of benchmarking here and there, but the culture is still pulling us down. The culture of dependence, we really depend on what's coming out from out. We better do the proper benchmarking, and we copy nations which have dealt with paradigm shift in the way they do things. The story is too long, I cannot stay forever. You know, for us hoteliers, we're good at talking and speaking, but I think the call is, we need a paradigm shift. We need to go back to the basics. We start from grassroots. We tell people that you can depend on your talent, you use it and it pays. The biggest challenge is dependence, donor dependence, facilitation and so on. No one wants to initiate. We need to initiate, we need to teach kids from down that you can start something and it will pay you. Good morning.
Thank you, and the last question for Honorable.
It's an honor to meet you, Honorable. My name is Anita Matilda Nekesa, and I am a social worker, graduating this October, unemployed, but that is not the main issue here. I have a concern when it comes to mental health, because it is something that is usually not spoken about often, and to be precise, I'm talking about men's mental health, because there are very many activists that talk about women's mental health and how it should be fought for women and women empowerment, but this has left the men behind. And as a result, you find that many women are actually acting the man part in the lives of, instead of respecting the availability of a man. And this has also caused many people to lose the ability to think outside the box. So how would you advise us young people on how to improve on that aspect? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable, those are the questions that people have asked from their heart. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll endeavor to respond to some of them. Well, number one is, oh, you are PPS, how could you ask for a loan? Something like that. What does being a PPS mean? A PPS is a public servant. Unless you're engaged in other uncouth methods of survival, then definitely your life would be smoother. But I was a real public servant who was even doing other businesses to survive because my salary was low. I was tailoring uniforms. I had a branch in Mengo, and I was making uniforms for nurses for me to be able to pay school fees for my children. I was dealing in fish, buying fish. I got a pickup, and I was trading in fish from Kasese and selling it to be able to make my ends meet. Yet I was the principal private secretary of the president in this country. But because I was surviving on my salary. So if you're surviving on your salary, definitely you need to balance out issues to be able to feed your family. I never took any bribe. I never accepted any offers from anybody. You know, we were the cadres and mentors of clean leadership. I remember the president used to lecture us every day. Clean leadership. And that thing stuck in my head up to today. And it has kept me sane. So unless someone is involved in uncouth behavior, those are the ones who don't need credit facilities. So when I left and there was no salary anymore, I realized I had to run my business and I needed credit facilities. That's why I ended up in microfinance. And there's nothing abnormal about that. As a Minister of Trade, but salary. In fact, I would even ask the cashier, have they put their salary on the phone? I mean, because I would even hear my phone, toot toot, my salary is coming. But all of a sudden when I stopped, nothing was coming. And I had to resort to other measures. But it has kept my name for the rest of my life. On the issue of former presidents, there is a policy, there is a law that came in Parliament recently. We passed it actually during the 10th and 11th Parliament. And that law was saying that even when the president is no longer there, they should look after his family. And Mama Miria is benefiting now. All those former presidents' wives and families are benefiting from that arrangement. Even Idi Amin's wives, even all those are now benefiting because the law is in place. But at that time of President Obote, that law was not there. But it has been corrected. The filmmaker, I didn't understand this. Those questions actually confused my head a bit. I tried so hard to focus on them, but I don't know. You're talking about the bare minimum cost in education. And then there was also another issue of revenue authority. But what I've realized is that we don't formalize our businesses through UIA. I've heard people saying, why is it only foreigners who benefit from tax holidays and incentives? But because we don't register. There is an investment code that says that when you register, you pay a certain fee, then you start benefiting from incentives like availing land for you to do your business, like a tax holiday of 10 years, but you have to deposit a certain amount. The problem is that we cannot afford that amount. So that is the challenge. That is where the challenge is. But once you formalize all that, then you'll be able to benefit from all this. You're supposed to import your machinery free without paying taxes. But we don't go through all that. In fact, we work retrospectively. When you start a business, then you go and start asking for permit to clear you, to import your machinery. So these are the issues I said that are challenges that we don't have sufficient information about. Then another one, professional skilling initiative. Someone said, Madam, thank you so much. Good. I wish we could share a paper. Because once you gave us this paper, that I can present it as an advisor, then they can present it to cabinet and we study it. These are good ideas. That's why we have such forum. So I'll take your number. We could talk about it. And you never know. This forum today might make a difference in our economy. You never know. Yes, about the fourth ICT revolution, it's true. But what are you doing about it, you? You never know why people lagged behind. It's not a crime that they lagged behind. It's because they were not able. You also come from the village. You know the circumstances there. You cannot speak like someone who is not aware of what actually happens down there. We know very well that some of our relatives cannot afford to pay school fees for our children. And it is a vicious cycle of poverty. The mother was poor, the father was poor, the child, the grandchild, the what? But we who are educated, what are we doing about it? That is why I got stuck in there. I stay in the village. And I spend a lot of time with these people. Except that sometimes when you do that, they think it's politics. But I started Trezimbe Development Foundation years ago, before I even became a politician, to support people at the grassroots. Ask yourself, what role am I playing to emancipate the impoverished, the underprivileged? Go to bed at night and ask yourself, what have I done for the underprivileged? So, we are, other countries are in another revolution. We'll get there eventually. But it's a process. And I think we'll get there. We're heading there. And another question, someone talks about mental health. And mental health is an issue that is not commonly discussed by us. And it should be an issue in some of such forums. Because we all have a degree of madness. You know, someone was telling me, why don't you drink alcohol? I said, if I drank alcohol, I would be in Butapika because I know I'm crazy. Not craziness as a man, but I know my level of. I know I can just say what I want, and, you know, whereas another person would be very cautious. And so everybody has got a level of madness. Our mental health is not at the same pace. There are certain things you do and people look at you and think, oh my goodness, how could she do that? So mental health is a common issue in our country, but apparently it's unfortunate that people don't talk about it very, very much. There's a paradigm shift, but of course, someone talks about the cultural dependency or the cultural impact on our people. Religious, that young girls do not do this. Cultural, all these are aspects that we have to not fight, but learn to balance. Create a hybrid. Because I can see we have had a breakthrough amongst the religious, where we used to say that Muslims girls don't go to school. But now they've started going to school. But still, there is someone who is deep down there, who is a fanatic, who will say, oh, my girls should stay behind, and I marry them off at 12 years or 15. They're also there. So these are the cultural barriers that we should fight, some of the barriers that we should fight, religious, cultural, all these are barriers. The good thing is that we are aware of them. Once you're aware of them, you know how to tackle them. And the onus should be upon you and you and you and you who is seated here to fight this. Government cannot come directly to do that for you in the village. Then you say government is oppressive, now it is forcing these people to do this. Look at our cultures. They are so diverse. How many tribes do we have? Almost 50 something. But when we start talking about our cultures, you'll be shocked. They are so diverse. They are mirrored and reflected in the dances. One is shaking like this, another one is jumping, another one is twisting. So the culture is so diverse. But you, the educated human being who's seated here, what are you doing about it? With the education you have, you just come here and say, I don't have a job. It is you, me, all the time. Get out of the me. It's time to be us. It's time to be Uganda. It's time to be Africa. And it is you who can transform your country, no other person. What with the social worker? There is a dependency on what? You know, some of these questions are not very clear. But it's okay, because other people have to speak. We'll talk, we'll have a one-to-one. I thank you so much for listening to me. I thank you for giving me an opportunity. And I'm Amelia Chambadi, and I look forward to ensuring that this forum comes up with tangible resolutions. We did not come here for a talk show. No way. We came here to find solutions to the youth, to find solutions to our communities, to find solutions to development. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Let's really clap for Honorable. Thank you so much, Honorable. Like I said earlier on, she spoke from her heart. She did not mince words. She said it exactly as it is because she has experienced it. Thank you so much, Honorable. We appreciate over and over. So I just need to remind us all that we have an exciting panel discussion, and also that all our speakers for the panel discussion are very present and they're excited and cannot wait to share with us. And you know, like Honorable said, we're sharing ideas. It's not just waiting for questions. You know, share the ideas, share anything that comes to our mind. But before that, we will be listening to our keynote speech for the day. The gentleman that I'm about to introduce, I only met him yesterday at a meeting that we had. And I was left thinking, you know, he what's the word that I would say? He really triggered my mind to think out of the box. So Dr. John, it is a pleasure for me to invite you today as our keynote speaker. And the topic that we're going to be listening in on is the future of work. Hearing all the challenges, what is the future of work like? Preparing Uganda's workforce for a globalized economy. Like Honorable said, thinking out of the box, thinking big, not just about Uganda. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as we welcome Dr. John Galiotos, who is the Dean Workforce Development from the Southern University. All the way, guys, he has come all the way to help us understand the future of work. Let's clap for him.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Even the ones out there? Say yes? No? Okay. I'm a professor, so I have to speak loud. So I took my jacket off, just lift up my sleeves, because this is how we do work. How we present, how we communicate, and how we interact with one another. If I'm a professor and I don't link with my students, what am I doing here? You understand? But also I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist, all kinds of things. And above all, I'm a father. And that is to bring the child to this today's society is the hardest job, the most important job. Not only father, but also most important, father. So starting like this, I want to show you a happy picture, and this is where I was born, the country of Greece. And all of you know the Olympic Games, right? And Olympus and Zeus and all kinds of things.
All right. So then it went away. You see, that's the magic of being a Greek guy. But
technology.
I am John Galiotos. I'm the Dean of Workforce Development, and I'm also Professor of Chemistry at Southern University in Shreveport, Louisiana. Southern University, that's where my office is in Louisiana is the United States, one of the lower 48 states of the Union. And Southern University was established in 1832, so it's an old school. We are one of the 124 HBCU institutions in the country. HBCU stands for Historically Black College and University. Southern University ranks 19th or 20th among the 124 schools. And that is the front entrance of the college. My contact information is right there, and I have a little business here that changes the slides. I am in the business for 35 years. I have done my research, published my publications, my patents, as a researcher, as a member of the team as well. And as a team now, we did all kinds of things. We produce, we build, we design, we fail, and we learn again. So I asked, Simon before was asked, you asked him the question, who was your mentor? My failures were mentors for me. So from there, I learned quite a bit. But my main mentors were also my teachers in elementary school, and also when I was a graduate student at the University of Illinois. which is Chicago and Urbana-Champaign. So that is something that he taught me, Dr. John Morrison, God bless his soul. He was an excellent, well-famous researcher. And he retired. And you know what he did? He went to New Orleans and he played saxophone in a band. A big professional saxophone in a band. Grew a beard, and he was completely different. But he said to me one day one thing. In order to be successful in life, you cannot be a scientist only. Because if you are, you're going to end up in some lab, and that's it, the end of your career. Nor you can be a fake to climb up, because eventually people will find out, and you're going to go down, gravity, which means with the force of gravity. So you have to be both. You have to balance your life as a person of society, as a person of family, as a person of faith, as a person of your profession. So you have to have balance. And he was right. Moving forward, I learned one thing. I did research and all that, but when I graduated from the University of Illinois in Chicago, I found out how clueless I was when it came to the real world. My first assignment was, John, welcome on board. You need to make fire retardants, water repellents, and freons that are economically feasible, environmentally friendly, and are going to be produced by 3 shifts of $8.50 an hour, 8 hours a shift, workers, technicians. Good luck. In about 2.5 months, we need the first results. Right. How do I do that? So, the work, when we go to school, we learn how to think. We learn how to use our minds. Yes, we learn all kinds of to answer problems, to get a grade, but this is the real world. Industry is in the business of making money. Educational institutions are tools, facilitators for this industry to make money, and they get back benefits. So industry and educational institutions are in a vested interest partnership with mutual benefits practices. That is, industry gets benefits, institutions get benefits. May not be the same, but they're benefits, but both parties invest. So it worked. I made my first fire retardants, water repellents, made out of silicon and iodine. Environmentally friendly and easy to be prepared, 50-gallon reactors. So you start from a little bit, and then you go to the big reactors, which I had to design. And guess what? I became a chemical engineer. All right? But from my failings, I found out that my products were great. And what were my failings? One day, one of the trucks that carried the products I made had an accident. And the whole damn thing was dumped in one of the old rivers, streams in the state of Oklahoma. EPA, everybody's going to come down hard on us. I said, John, don't worry about it. I said, why? I had to spend the water stream. I'm doomed. He said, no. Your products hydrolyzed and become sand. So what you did is you added more sand into the river. Really? Really? Wow. So write it down. Perfect. Answer the question environmentally friendly. By thinking that I failed. No, well, I learned a few things. See what I'm saying? Never give up. Yeah, well, it's human nature is to slow down a little bit. I never gave up. So, what I did is this. I decided to go to workforce development, education, and training. Because of my experiences, I found out that industry is going in this direction, And education is going in that direction. So what is the purpose of education when people who graduate can't find jobs, right? So what the hell am I doing? And also, why am I, whatever I teach, is it relevant? Does it meet the standards of industry and what the people are going to do when they graduate? As engineers, scientists, name it. Therefore, we have to bring industry into the equation. And from then on, industry and education are going to be working hand to hand all the time. So I learned that whatever I do, industry has to approve. And it worked miracles. What kind of miracles are these? 100% placement upon graduation. My students last May graduated from Southern University, and 3 of them, the first 3 of the first new program we did, working on offshore installations in the Gulf of Mexico. Starting salary, $110,000. With 2 years of education, $5,000 of investment. Public institution. 3 years of education, $5,000 of investment. $110,000 a year. Uganda is going to have oil soon. All to be prepared. Moving forward, this is what I'm going to be talking to you today, sharing with you the future of jobs, ideas, trends, what the world is doing, automation, etc. So I'm going to start with the abstract. I'm going to have a presentation. It's going to have an introduction. We're going to continue with some key challenges, the evolving job market, technology disruption and automation came from the World Economic Forum, globalization and the knowledge of the economy. Don't think that you are technicians, career traders, professionals for the country of Uganda only. You are professionals of the world. You are citizens of the world in addition to citizens of Uganda or other countries. All right? So I'm going to share with you a couple of case studies, the green job sustainability skills demands, and I'm going to be a little focused on green jobs because Uganda is green. Uganda has a lot of resources, and the honorable advisor to the President, Ms. Amelia, hit that, and I hope you all paid attention, as we all need to pay attention to what Honorable Amelia is saying to us. Okay? Some key skills for future employability, roles of education institutions. What role do we play in this business? Government policies and investments, strategies of empowering workforce. So when the government is planning, they have workforce in mind. Fostering diverse talent pool, and we're going to go with growth opportunities in a low carbon economy. I know what I'm talking about because I have experienced and practiced that before. So we are experiencing a fast track change and growing economy. It's about 20,000 times faster now than before. So when we are incorporating a technique, the technology already has improved that technique 25,000 times faster in a couple of days. So we need to conduct an exploration of the critical roles of the skills that we need to have in order to follow these trends of the economic growth and evolution and technology evolution. And then we need to examine the emerging trends in technology, globalization, etc. How do they relate with our home? Uganda, East Africa Coalition, and everywhere else. I do this almost every day in the United States? And then what kind of data is there that we can take, utilize it, learn from it, make adjustments, and move forward? So, the fourth industrial revolutions, I heard this before, okay, is transforming industries. It's transforming people, communities, etc. And brings a profound change of how we do business, how we think, and move our economy, our society, our countries forward. So we have artificial intelligence, we have automation there, we have other technologies that reshape, our way of doing things in transportation, in energy, in construction, in infrastructure, in hospitality, healthcare, name it, right? So the standard of questions is, of course, we say that, and I heard this before a little while ago, skills development is no longer one line and one-time thing. We learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's constant, okay? And the question is, how can today's workforce be empowered with the skills and innovative thinking that is required for the future employability? So, in other words, if Uganda has strategies to move up pretty high, pretty fast, the most important treasure of the country of Uganda is its people. Yeah, but we have all kinds of minerals. Yeah, but people are going to dig them out. But yeah, we have wealth, we have the sun, we have all. Yes, but people are going to be the innovators that are going to make things happen. Don't you agree? Okay. So we're going to explore key trends in the labor market. And we're going to see how the trends relate to skilling and upskilling of the people. In today's September 17th, I gave a presentation at the Gas Technology Conference. It was attended by 47,000 people. In my session, I talked about decarbonization and talent development and such. There were three things. The themes of the conference: technology, artificial intelligence, and fast-track credentialing, stackable certificates, and related. They didn't say, I want a 2-year, 4-year degree or a PhD or anything like that. Can you be ready in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, a year, the most, because we have needs. And the rest of it we will teach you, and then we will send you back to school to get your bachelor's, PhDs. We'll pay for it, but you're going to gain the experience. Career pathways. Okay. All right, but there are challenges. Industry sometimes says, I don't want to move to the next level. I'm happy, I'm making what I'm making, why should I bother? Okay, it's quite cool. And then the resistance to change. There's a little book about 50 pages and it's titled, Who Moved My Cheese? I'm not sure if you have read it, but I suggest highly to read it. It's about someone who moved the cheese from here to there. And the whole story is unveiled from that. People get angry. What'd you do that for? Well, think out of the box. Because there's no box. And then high cost of transitioning from, to new technologies such as green technologies. What other skill gap we have? Aging workforce. Aging workforce. Okay? And then further, and the last, relevancy of curricula, what we teach at universities and colleges. Is it relevant what you are learning? Is the book 10 years old? Published, 2000 edition. Are the professors, practicing professors who will teach you relevancy? Am I capable to teach electrical engineering? Chemical engineering better than chemistry and science rather than electrical engineering. Am I capable to select the proper people who will be in the field to do that? Do I have the proper equipment? Or am I teaching the book and some, animations about it? Do I get my hands dirty as well as my students? And that is very critical. Yeah, but you're the dean. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm the dean, I should know everything. So I spend time playing with the equipment and being in the classroom. Can I do that? Can I help you? Can I do that? Because my job is not, I'm a professor to teach in the classroom, but overall my job as a dean is to facilitate my team to win and succeed. That is my role. Okay? It's not about me, it's about my team, the students, the college, the society, the community, everybody. So, the evolving zone market relates to a technological disruption and automation. Okay? It's not the norm anymore. Some people say that this is a weird idea. Well, nothing is weird. Okay? And that's the first question I ask when I interview people. What is the weirdest thing you've done? I say, what? Tell me, think back. What is the weirdest thing you've done? And you see, get them out of the box or whatever, and out of the norm. But I came here to tell you, what is the weirdest thing you've done? Have you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro? No. What have you done? That's weird as weird. And we go from there. All right. As I said before, the knowledge is globalized, and it has to follow the global economy. Whatever I know here, I must know in the United States, somewhere in Europe, Asia, and beyond. So we are global experts as well as global citizens. And then we have the green jobs and sustainability. The world is going into that. And Uganda has the prime opportunity, the most, it's right there, the opportunity to become the leading country in Africa and one of the leaders in the world with regards to preserving the environment, using resources such as the sun, the wind, the underground heat, the recycling of the waste to generate energy. Better living, better economy. Moving forward, according to 2021 report of World Economic Forum, automation and AI would replace 85 million jobs, but 97 million new jobs are going to be created. But I'm 50 years old. How can I function? What can I do? Well, you need to come to school. We're going to teach you the new skills, and then you will be able to apply them. I had truck drivers coming to me, said, I want to change my career. I want to go to the refineries. I want to be a solar installer. I want to be a biotechnologist, and so forth. Okay, we were able to do it. I got my data from McKinsey Global Institute that estimate about by 2030, 14% of the global workforce will need to switch occupational categories as automation and AI, kick in so fast. I'm sure all of you are using automation and AI. My students are using AI. So what am I doing? I'm grading and correcting AI. Okay. Further, globalization has created a more interconnected world where companies seek talent from across the globe. If you can't find a job, what are you going to do? You're going to go somewhere else where jobs are available. Well, but I am a farmer. Well, they need farmers in the Middle East or other countries of Africa. But you cannot live without exhausting all possibilities that the country offers you. Nobody just get up and leave. You have to exhaust all the possibilities. And the country is there available to help. And the data says from the International Labour Organization that global economy will continue to prioritize high skilling, and they're going to be growing by 3.5% every year until 2030. So the new benchmarking is 2030 and also 2050. And in between, the milestones. And in between, we have benchmarking we need to follow. All right. We have some case studies. The country of Denmark, which all of you know, invested in its people and its resources. And 67% of its power comes from the wind, from wind turbines. So, renewables. So, can you imagine 67% of the electricity of the country of Uganda comes from solar? Can you imagine of about a high percentage of the heat thermal comes from the underground, geothermal? You know, but who's going to manage all that? Can you imagine if solar technicians, thermal, PVs, and others are going to be generated and ready to adopt these new markets? Right? So, can you imagine having people saying, I'm poor? You're not poor anymore. You have opportunities. Okay? So, second, another interesting thing is, I used to work for ADNOC. ADNOC stands for Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. And ADNOC is the leader now in decarbonization. And my role was to be the second in command of all the training of ADNOC. Offshore, onshore, upstream, midstream, and downstream, including distribution of gas, of gasoline, etc. The person above me, I had to report, was a local, so I didn't wear a gandour, I wore a suit. So, but can you imagine their responsibilities going to the western regions, in the desert, and also on the main, Das Island, Azab, Zarqum, man-made islands, ensuring that the people there are doing things safely. And saying that safely, safety should be and must be priority number one everywhere in the world. Everywhere, including our household. Safety must be priority number one. In about less than half a second, at 20,000 psi pressure on a gas well in the desert, you can be annihilated. So you can imagine the safety standards that we had there. Also, safety has to be incorporated in this room. You should be careful when you walk, step over a cable, over here as well. We all must pay attention to safety practices, and we all must practice the safety we preach. So in this particular case, so safety, ADNOC leads the world in decarbonization practices, which means it reduces the atmosphere from pollutants, CO2 particularly. And here we have the National Energy Technology Laboratories, as part of the Department of Energy, and I'm going to be meeting with them on October 28th at 3 p.m. and at 5 p.m. Because they fund an industry, to capture CO2 from the atmosphere and store it and sell credits. Department of Energy funds industry for that matter. And where does the education institution come from? We will provide the training of the operators, the technicians, the electricians, the plumbers, the welders who will support the needs of this industry. But you are a PhD, this and that. It does not matter. How useful can you be in today's society? right? So what they do is take this industry, produces CO2, they take the CO2, they store it underground, and now the new, clean, more organic plant creates products that are more useful, but also come from a clean manufacturing environment. So another area of significant job growth aligns in the green job directly with the global shift, what we, as I call, decarbonization. And that is very, very important. The question is, the other day I was driving, we were driving around, and I saw cars, exhausts that were not functioning that well. So decarbonization also incorporates ensuring best practices in everyday life are implemented for a cleaner atmosphere. I just want you to know that if I live in the mountains of Kampala or Uganda, it doesn't mean that I am not touched with the pollution of a lower area city. Molecules do travel. I'm a chemist, I know. All right? And we breathe them, no matter where we go. Not only that, the plants eat, absorb these chemicals, and we eat. So the data for that comes from 2023, 17%, the green jobs grow annually. That's food for thought for the country of Uganda. And I put this Operation Brownfields is because I got $200,000 from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in America, and I create training for OSHA 10, OSHA 30, hazmat, HAZWOPER, asbestos amendment, CPR, and first aid. All the industries want this training. The university provides this training. The federal government pays for that. And brownfields means that all the dumps that you see out there, or you want a new building, all of this needs to be cleaned, recycled. The material will be used for agricultural purposes or for construction purposes, and therefore you have a clean area to rebuild. That is what we call brownfields jobs. Okay? Brownfields because they're not blue, actually. So now, the skill demands for what I call the workforce STEM talent. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Why arts? Architects, CAD designers, building designers, artists, okay, and so forth. And now we have energy efficiency management jobs, we have sustainable process design, clean technology development, and renewable energy engineering. There are some. Now, future opportunities for you all. How many LEED certified buildings do we have here in Kampala? So what about if the government says from now on, every building that's going to be built must have LEED certification capabilities? You understand? And then who is going to design this? Our students, our future, the ones who learn about energy management, energy efficiency, energy, design buildings, energy capable and safe. I was while I was working at ADNOC, I went to Dubai, and they have 4 solar cities, about 300 homes per city. And I was there to see what they have built. Can you imagine have Solar City Kampala, Solar City, another city here, and another city, and another city, of homes made by recycled material, solar panels, effective and efficient system of treating the waste, and I can go on and on and on. Okay? So, the skills for the future employability, there are technical skills, there are soft skills, and we need to believe in lifelong learning. My most favorite one is the soft skills. All right. So the technical skills, yes, we need to be able to analyze, troubleshoot, understand digital systems. Like I was, you can see how old-fashioned I couldn't understand how to push this button and go from one screen to two screens and by five. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So AI is reality. Machine learning, cybersecurity, etc. When you are operating a CNC machine, but you are a chemist, you are an engineer, chemical engineer. Well, I can fabricate it as well. I can write code, zip code, and I can fabricate. I can also TIG and make welding. You understand the importance of being able to find careers and to respond to needs for jobs that have such requirements. And some people say, well, cybersecurity, you cannot, what should you do? I mean, dig and make. Well, have you heard of, what's that, simulated welding? I said yes. What about if I can hack into your system and whatever you're welding, I can tell you is nonsense, and you have no idea what's going on? Oh, okay, you understand. My first initiative when I was impressed with the long-distance communication is when I was asked by Lone Star College to go to Singapore to give a presentation to IADC, which is an organization, stands for Independent Association of Telecom Contractors. And you're going to need their certifications here pretty soon. And I told them that I can operate my distillation unit and my indoor plant from here. So I was able to go through a computer into the server to my college, Houston Community College system, into the server of that serves all my equipment into the system of my units, and I was able to operate it from Singapore. I said, I can't believe that. Well, believe it, look at this. And then all of the equipment that I had were remote operated. These are here. This technology is here. Many of you are experts, but you need to be experts all the time as the technology evolves. Now, soft skills. The most important one, you gotta have character. So you need to be dependable, reliable, trustworthy, credible, do all the work, never assume, because assumption is the beginning of destruction, and on time. And above all, within the frame of safety. Dependable, reliable, trustworthy, credible, do all the work on time within the frame of safety. And you're gonna be found. Never assume. Never assume. Soft skills is also sending and taking good notes. Good notes. Not doctor's chicken scratches. Sorry for that. All right? Prescription. Good notes, because when my shift comes in and I read your notes from the previous shift, and the notes, I think that I see something that looks like a 2, but it's 9, and I operate at that level, things will happen. And remember, lifelong learning. The European Center for the Development of Vocational Training predicts by 2030, 35% of all jobs will require workers to continually undergo training and retraining. In America, we have what we call PE, professional engineer. A professional engineer every year must do 20 hours of training to maintain his or her license. I must do training myself. So who is going to do this training? Educational institution. And the next one is relevancy. Yes, we have innovation, perfect, but what does it do if it's not relevant? So we need to have educational reform with upskilling initiatives, digital learning and online platforms, industry collaborations and apprenticeship programs, in government policies and workforce development practices. So, education reform, relevancy. What all of this means, and that slide there, is whatever I do, whatever curriculum I generate, and all the professional development initiatives that I have for my faculty must be relevant. Not for the sake of that I'm going there to look pretty or to get some toys from tables because I need some pens, pencils, and speak to some people and leave. No, I ask my faculty, you need to go to an event and be a speaker, be a presenter. And not only that, your name is going to be last, first names are going to be the students. And not only that, all the posters, all the presentation of the students will need to populate the walls of the university, of the department. So when people come in, they need to see what we're doing. And it works. It works. So relevance is very important. Every program, when I say relevant, every program that we have has its own industry advisory committee. I run 11 programs at NCC and I have 11 industry advisory committees. All of them members of industry. No faculty. Faculty are there to take notes. They're not voting people. I'm not a voting, I'm there a facilitator. So industry told us what you do is, okay, make this adjustment. And then I asked industry, all right, I did what you asked me to do. What are you going to do for us? I'm going to provide you with equipment. My engineers are going to engineer equipment for you, and we're going to provide scholarships. All right, what else? We're going to have opportunities. Your graduates are going to be the first in line to interview. Okay, that sounds good, I'm happy. I put it on the minutes, send it to my administration, to the state of Texas, and then it becomes implemented. But if we don't have the support of industry, nothing moves. Absolutely nothing. I do mean it, literally, nothing. Okay. Further, we have different platforms of operating and transmitting education. Online, on-site, at industry sites, hybrid in between. Okay? And all of you perhaps know these types of platforms. So, and we have a strong apprenticeship, and we must have here a strong apprenticeship internship program. Must be there. And that should be the second year of the second semester, or the second semester of the second year, or fourth semester of the second semester of the fourth year. That is, the student now is out there working. In Abu Dhabi, my team and I put together a policy where the last term students don't come to class. They come only an hour a week because all the other time they're working. And their supervisors are reporting to us of their performance. So what does this mean? If a supervisor tells you of the performance of your students, it tells you about your performance as an educator, as an institution, as a program. So at Lone Star College, when I was there, we did something weird. Now weird is, right? So we asked industry if it is okay for our leadership to go out to the field and sit on a seat of a driller, the one who digs oil out on the ground, and see all this equipment, wear steel toe shoes, overalls, hard hats, safety glasses, H2S devices here, and walk around in the mud. And I told them, just make sure they're not in air-conditioned environment, out in the heat. And because this is the way they were able to appreciate what treasures they have in their life. facilities, other colleges, and I'll show you some pictures of the colleges, not them. It worked. So I am working right now at the university to have a once a year retreat of leadership in industry for about 3 days. So far, I have never heard a no. Second, so far, industry guests, can I be the hostess? Right? And there's a place in Roberts, Louisiana, where Shell has a huge training facility, where they also have they teach survival skills. You know, when the helicopters fly over the Gulf of Mexico, and something happens, they go down. The people inside the helicopters need to learn how to get out of there so they won't sink. So we teach this. It's a big swimming pool, the helicopter goes down, you know, you wear all the clothes, so leadership has to go through that. And so far, all good, so far, okay? It's working. That's Roberts, Louisiana Shell Training Center. But did you hear what I said? Shell Training Center, educational institution. They opened the doors to us to ensure that relevancy is safety is being taught, learned, and hopefully will apply. So, the UK's Department of Education reported that 90% of apprenticeships led to full-time employment. We have students who, before they graduate, they had jobs. This is what we like to see, and I'm sure it's happening in Uganda. I'm sure it happens. They have great professors, faculty, and I'm sure it's happening. Okay, moving forward. So, what is it I do over there? We have interdisciplinary programs under my supervision, some of the activities. We have applied research opportunities, mentorship and support. I do have mentorship and support, and I heard it, Simon, pretty good. But who does that? Industry does that to us and to our faculty. And I will share with you the particulars. And then I have faculty externships. This is the very important key. What does faculty externship mean? It means that every year, my faculty for 2 weeks need to go to industry and learn a technique or two. And they come, that's not practical, right? And they bring it back to the college and incorporate it into the curriculum. That is externship. So an industry is all happy to adopt and implement and facilitate. Suggestions for an effective way of delivering skills and competencies to our people. I mean, the Honorable Miss Amelia shared with me a couple of days ago. We talk about skills, you know, mentorship, motivation and such. Show me something that I can use, I can grab and utilize and move with it forward. Show me a best practice or two. There are some suggestions here. Okay? We have a very strong relationship with NASA, and it's working well. So our students go for summer internships and lifelong learning opportunities. And then we have the summer activities where the students from high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, they go to summer camps where faculty and others, you know, provide those kinds of activities, whether it's robotics, welding, painting, you know, mechanical stuff and so forth. Cybersecurity, you know, this group attacks the other group and vice versa. It's quite cool and fun. We're going to have the one coming up November 16. We call it the Makers Fair, and it's going to be hosted at Louisiana State University, Shreveport. We are one of the supporters as well. So the government has to have policies in place to support the workforce. So the example in Singapore, the Singapore's skilling future, was implemented, and it showed that 500,000 workers have been benefited since its inception in 2015. So the government, worked with the universities and other education institutions to incorporate the plan, because our honorable advisor to the president, Ms. Amelia, shared with us so many solutions. There's one of them. It's not the only one, but we can start somewhere. So over here in this discussion with you all, I am providing you directly and indirectly with solutions. I hope you picked it up. And this is what happens. We have about 300, maybe you won't be able to say that correctly, about $380 billion investment of the US government on a variety of projects for green jobs, decarbonization, certification, infrastructure, roads, bridges, name it. And then over here I have about 334,000 jobs, new jobs were created with regards to green technology, solar, wind, electricians and others, energy management and so forth. And the last one here I want you to see is, yes, I am going to lose about 5 million or 2 million jobs here, but I have a growth of about 5 million jobs with a new norm that is coming, this big tsunami of technologies hitting the world. Please, be alert, be on the alert. Don't fall behind. Not only that, be leaders, become leaders. Leaders, not followers to this new tsunami of technology. Leaders, not followers. Okay? But how can we become leaders? So the European Union is investing greatly to this new European Green Deal. I just brought this as an example. And here the Department of Energy, steam rigging programs, all of these programs are financed by the government, the National Science Foundation, the health and human rights, and many others, manufacturing and so forth. And these are money acquired or are in place for these programs to be funded. Recently, in Louisiana, we formed a coalition under the leadership of Louisiana State University, and we were awarded on January 29, 2024, $230 million as a total. $170 million from the National Science Foundation through the program engines, and $67 million from the Louisiana Economic Development. The project's name is FUEL, Future Usage of Energy in Louisiana. Not oil and gas anymore. And there are 3 groups: community, industry, and workforce. I serve on the workforce. And it is a coalition of universities, industries, and the community. And the community. You cannot leave out the community for anything you do. So moving forward, one thing that the government is doing is providing tax incentives. I heard this before. I'm giving you tax incentives. I'm helping you out, industry. What are you going to do for me? I am going to educate and train these people so that they will stay in the community. Remember, for every paycheck, you have 13 other paychecks benefiting from it. From every paycheck, you have 13 others. So if I get a paycheck today, the restaurant, the cleaners, the gas station, the grocery store, who else is out there in the line? The pharmacy, all of them, the bakery, okay? All of them get a benefit. The bookstore, name it. Second, for every engineer, I must have 7 technicians. For every engineer, I must have 7 technicians. How many technicians do we graduate? How many engineers do we graduate? An engineer is to be an engineer. A technician is to be a technician. An engineer should not be a technician. An engineer designs. A technician tells the engineer that whatever you design works, or we need to make these modifications, and now it's working. And then we're moving on with the process. An engineer designs. A technician operates, maintains, and troubleshoots. So, I'm going to be a little faster so I can show you the proof of concept, what I'm talking about. So we reduce the carbon footprints, we have innovations in energy efficiency, and then we have a sustainable manufacturing processes when we incorporate the suggestions I made before. And they were practiced before, they're tested before, and they work. Oops. So, in all of these positions, all of these activities, I must have diversity. Only 32% of the skilled workers in these related fields are diverse. We must pay attention to more women than we are in our workforce STEAM related programs. More women. And we must accept they're much better than we are. I said, that's it. All right? So diversity in what we do is paramount. When I was a manager and in demand, I have people in my team, different religion, different clothing when it came to the room, right in the office, different language, different color, men and women. So, but all of us had one common vision, to ensure safely the project is complete. Safely the project is complete. But when we went out in the field, we all wear the same PPE, same personal protective equipment. So that's what I learned, quite a bit, okay? Then, so we leveraged technology, we talked about that, and now as a result, we have cities, as I shared before, that technicities, I call them smart technicities, where everything can be operated in a clean environment. Do what you do every day, but in a much more effective and efficient way. Now, this is what the growth companies, opportunities in low carbon economy, and I mean, you see me underline the low carbon economy a lot, because this is where the economy is going. Yes, we're going to produce food, we're going to produce agricultural material, etc., but at what cost to the environment? So over here, I want to show you waste management. We have 100% increase in funding. Water conservation. I still don't have an answer where the water goes from the sides of the road. Where does it go? It can go somewhere. I mean, forget about it. It goes somewhere. Okay. And then we have sustainable agriculture. I heard about agriculture before. There's a lot of effective and efficient ways to do agriculture. And you can see how much money is put aside for that. Further, this is what I studied before I put this, PowerPoint together. So I did a little bit of homework. Okay, it worked. And I want to say, not yet. I want to thank you for listening to me. Not yet. Not yet. Because now I need to show you that I'm not talking off my head. In 2001, actually, I came up with the concept of building the Energy Institute in Houston Community College, because we all talk about engineers. What about technicians, workforce? So my chancellor then, Dr. Bruce Lacey, said, go for it. I will be a champion. In 2007, I had a building that I practically helped in designing. But I want to tell you, a couple of times I was thrown out of the room because I used some big words they didn't like in the team, because it's not all ties and suits. I was jeans and t-shirt, but get the job done, man. All right, and be clean. So I said, okay, I'm leaving this room. I use words I don't want to use here, because I had so much passion. And I knew what was going on because I was in the industry looking at getting examples, taking notes, pictures, and having the industry support me. So we had a building, 60,000 square feet. Oops. This one, 3 stories, nice labs. And then I was taken away from Houston Community College in 2013 by the Chancellor of Lone Star College and said, John, help us build this, the Energy Manufacturing Institute. So I said, you have the plans, but I will help you get the equipment. Why? You have a course name, right? We have a course description, am I correct? And then we have 4 or 5 or 6 learning outcomes. Am I correct to say that? What instrument supports or validates that outcome that I can see in pictures? Do we have that? No. Well, I would put it in place. And then bring industry in and says, look at this. I have this equipment to validate this learning outcomes and so forth. Good. What can I do for you? Can you use this facility? Yes. Well, FMC rented, it's a company, oil and gas company, rented 2,300 square feet of there with their own equipment, and when they're not using them, our students were using them. The equipment that are going to be used tomorrow when they get hired. Okay? And that one's the latest one. You have 475 solar panels on the building. It's in Brentwood, New York. And I'm proud to say that I did all the equipment programs inside and paid attention on the location arrangement of the collectors. And there are 12 thermal collectors out there, so hot water. So they generate power. So any power they generate, it's moved through cabling to the Workforce Development Center. So nothing goes to waste. And here we have gardens and also flowers and vegetables and such. That's a 2-story building. And I was so proud of this building because imagine a building like this in Uganda, the second pearl of Uganda. Imagine that. What if? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. No, it's not possible. Yes, it is possible. It is possible. Only if we put our heads and minds down to work. Take those stripes away and work as a team. Things I don't know, you do. Things you don't know, I do. As a team, we put it together. It doesn't take much more. How much more does it take? All right. Further, in Abu Dhabi, I was able to develop these partnerships that make up the Zatco, ADCO, Al-Adba, Gasco, all of these operating companies. Now it's only one company. And as a result, we had pilot plant training facilities. You will need these facilities here in about 2 to 3 years. You will need them. Otherwise, other people are going to use them for their needs. I'm not sure about for Uganda's benefit. This is, people learn how to get oil from here and go through. What I used was mineral oil, water, and compressed air. Okay? It's a simulator. But all the equipment that you see here, all of them, are the exact equipment they use in industry. Tell me if when you graduate from there, you're not capable and skillful. Validate this to me. Tell me if I go inside there, somewhere there, and take something, switch it off, and tell everybody, go find what the problem is. This is what I'm talking about. And I asked the faculty, can you find it? Okay, no, worry. You're going to go through the training, and you're going to be ready. We don't have time to point fingers. We have time to work together. If we point fingers, we are not going to be successful. And next time, when I come here to speak to you, I will report results, as Our Excellency, Ms. Amelia said. Next time, we're not going to say the problem is, no, there's no problem. We talked about the problem today. Next year, October, I need results. Okay? Moving forward. Mobile training. They used to say, if Monmouth doesn't go to the mountain, Monmouth goes to Monmouth. I learned that when I was a little boy. You have villages. They can come to the university. They cannot come to a technical institution. What about if we go to the village with a trailer that's about healthcare, teaches best practices in agriculture, wastewater treatment, and anything related for the people there to be successful. And educate them, train them, and provide them the skills and credibility and certificates for that matter. That is called mobile, and that's why I'm proposing to the Uganda Mobile Workforce Training Initiative. I used that in 2022. That's why I put Southern University at Shreveport, Louisiana. We had that. We have this well. Manufacturing, CNC machining, lathe and milling, and welding. On wheels. Okay? But the roads are no good. Let's fix the road. Infrastructure, little by little, step by step, stone by stone. With a system on the sides where we will know this time where the water goes when it rains. And these are what I had over there in New York. These solar panels produce 5 kilowatts, 2 hot houses and a glass house. All of these were in New York. And these systems are sold, the geothermal, the turbines, we had them in New York as well. And this is the environmental, this is a house where we measure the efficiency of the house and we teach students energy efficiency. Real energy efficiency. Don't put your finger though there because you'll get electrocuted. But it looks tempting, but go for it. Let's see what happens. You understand? So these are the equipment we use for the manufacturing training. Okay, I'm proposing to you for lathe, milling, CNC machining, cutting, using water and laser. And these are equipment we use for energy and engineering, electrical, mechanical, instrumentation, and related. And on this equipment, no one can tell me that I cannot teach physics, mathematics, and chemistry. And technology. Operating this equipment remotely. Nobody can tell me that because you guys have brilliant minds. And I'm sure in 24 hours or less, you can figure them out in 1, 2, 3. We had an economic impact to the community where we are. 2021, because right now we are working for the next set of years. We have what we call at the university the Small Business Center of Excellence. We help small business to grow. We service 309 clients, 22 new business startups, so many jobs, and we had a $7.4 billion infusion into the community. Exactly what you were saying. Inspire, Educate, and Employ is a program that we do every year with NASA, and students get together and they do weird things that they move using the sun. Other things that I said, how in the world did you think about it? And no one can tell you that the people in Uganda are not capable of doing this. If somebody says that you don't belong here, here's a one-way ticket, hop on a Uganda Airlines and go home. No one, but you have to have passion, confidence, okay, in you to believe in that no one in the country of Uganda cannot do that. A Greek philosopher said, "Give me pasto et agani pinaso," and a famous one. Give me a place to stand, and I will move the earth for you. Who said that? Thaddeus. This is the award we receive in the state of New York for our environmental impact. Practices we had. We had charging stations. Oh, imagine 10 charging stations at the government building or an institution that operate on solar panels. How many? So 10 charging stations, 10 cars. How many pounds of CO2 and pollutants can be reduced in the atmosphere? Okay. And now, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, an honor to be here. I hope that I spoke relevancy with regards to leadership on Mr. Simon's presentation earlier. Have you heard of a player called Michael Jordan? I had the pleasure to watch Michael Jordan do his magic, and I always believe that he is the best basketball player ever. And my son tells me, no, LeBron James is, you have finesse compared to a big cargo plane. Come on. So you have a F-35 or a Mirage fighter compared to, he said no. But Michael Jordan had a mentor. His name was Coach Phil Jackson. And what did he do? He surrounded Michael Jordan not with players of his capacity, but supporting cast. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Forrest Grant, and Luke Longley, the rebounder. So in America we had, from Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Rodman, Dennis Rodman, we had Superman, Batman, and Rodman. Rodman was always Rodman. You understand, he was very eccentric. But in here, we are not all Superman. We are all contributors to the common good of the country. And I hope ideas, data, and suggestions that you saw here, and best practices to implement them on potential programs that you want to do, develop, initiatives, name it, moving forward. And I will be happy to help. And I do thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. John. Another round of applause. So, if you will have a minute to look at your watch, you will notice that it is 1:43. And why have we probably delved into up to this time? It's because we didn't keep time. So time management is very important, people. So if we had started early, we will next time, end early. So we have questions, but I would strongly suggest, let's keep the questions, go have lunch, and immediately after lunch, we will ask the questions. You also now have time to really think about all the questions in the world. So we're going to close this session, and then we're going to have a shorter lunch break. Ideally, it would have been 1 hour, but like I said, it may not be 1 hour. So we will have to agree that we come back here in 40 minutes. 40 minutes and not an hour. If it's, what time? 1:43, the mathematicians, 40 minutes. We should be back in here with our questions, so we can ask the questions, because I also have questions as well. Yes, I do. It was very informative. It was very good to also share stats with us, but also you mentioned and said, I'm not just talking, you need to see what's actually on ground. And I think it's a good thing to not just talk, but you are doing something great. So thank you for sharing from your heart, Dr. John. All right, so everyone, I'm going to ask us, you're going to receive coupons. And let's close this session and go and have our lunch break. And we will see you right after. And if you do not see me, you will see my colleague Eki, who is going to lead the panel discussion. Please don't disappear after lunch. We have an interesting panel discussion. We even have a surprise guest for you after. So please don't disappear, come back after lunch. Thank you very much. And don't forget to network. People, let's please go have lunch. We only have 40 minutes. Let's try this time and do better. Let's be here in 14 minutes.